nature versus nurture debate,
Yeah.
right? And it's played out on the biggest stage imaginable.
Absolutely.
And looking at the data we have, especially heading into the 2026 World Cup, the reality of being a second-generation professional is far more complex than just, getting your dad's old boots.
So our mission today is to unpack all of this. We're looking at match archives, player background reports, and historical statistics from 1930 all the way to the modern era.
And we're going to analyze the extremely rare cases where a son actually eclipses a legendary father.
Plus, later on, we're going to look at a massive genetic twist hidden in these family trees that, honestly, it completely reshapes how we think about athletic inheritance.
I can't wait to get into that part. But I think the starting point for this analysis has to be the psychological baseline.
Okay, set the scene for us.
Well, most fans assume that having a World Cup winner for a father is an automatic advantage. Like, it's the ultimate networking path.
Right, you get the best coaches, the best gear.
Exactly. But the career trajectories and the player interviews in our sources tell a very, very different story. These players don't start at zero. They start below zero.
Below zero. Because I guess every single mistake they make is just massively amplified by the media.
Precisely. But before we even look at specific families, we really have to establish the weight of the tournament itself.
Yeah.
Like, what is the mythology these kids are actually competing against?
That's a great point. The archives highlight some of the most iconic moments in football history, starting from the very beginning, like the Maracanazo drama in 1950.
Oh, that is the perfect example. 200,000 spectators in the stadium. Brazil is the host nation. They only need a draw against Uruguay to become world champions.
And Uruguay shocks them, winning 2-1.
Right, and it led to a literal national trauma in Brazil. That's the emotional weight of this tournament.
And then you have the rise of the 17-year-old Pelé in '58, definitively putting himself on the map with that magnificent lob over a defender to secure Brazil's first world title.
Or the sheer chaos of the Battle of Santiago in 1962 between Chile and Italy. I mean, the sources call it pure anarchy, punches, broken noses, police on the pitch.
It's wild. And don't forget the controversial Wembley goal in '66, where Jeff Hurst hit the crossbar, and to this day, people argue if it crossed the line.
Exactly. So when we talk about a father's legacy, it's tied up in these monumental historical shockwaves. Is there a specific player in the data who exemplifies this concept of starting in the negatives?
Yeah, the Schmeichel family is the perfect case study here.
Oh, absolutely.
Peter Schmeichel was arguably one of the greatest goalkeepers of the 1990s, a massive figure at Manchester United.
A giant of a man, too.
Right, and his son, Kasper, had an objectively incredible career. He won the Premier League with Leicester City, started in a World Cup, and earned over 100 caps for Denmark.
Which means he was selected for his national team over 100 times.
Exactly. For almost anyone else, that's a wildly successful, absolute dream career.
Yeah.
But I imagine the standard Kasper was held to wasn't just average professional.
No, the standard was Peter Schmeichel. And there is this one anecdote in the archives that perfectly captures this really toxic environment.
Oh, what happened?
So a fan once approached Peter Schmeichel and said, "Your son's doing well, but he'll never be as good as you."
Oh, wow. To his face.
Right to his face. And Peter fired back instantly. He said, "You're insulting my son."
Damn.
Because Peter understood better than anyone that Kasper wasn't competing against a human being. He was competing against nostalgia.
Right. It's like inheriting a legendary Michelin star restaurant, but every single customer who walks through the door just wants to complain that your soup isn't exactly the way your dad made it 20 years ago.
That is the perfect analogy. And this psychological burden, this mental RAM deficit, is incredibly visible heading into the 2026 World Cup.
You're talking about Luka Zidane making his debut for Algeria.
Yes. He becomes part of the 27th father-son pairing in World Cup history, but the shadow he is dealing with is Zinedine Zidane.
I mean, Zinedine Zidane, the Ballon d'Or winner, a guy who defined entire generations of football.
A man whose moments of genius and, even his moments of chaos are just deeply woven into the sport.
Like the headbutt.
Exactly. In the very last match of his career, in the 2006 final, he loses his self-control and delivers a hard headbutt to the chest of Marco Materazzi. He gets a direct red card.
It's one of the most unforgettable moments in modern sports history.
Yeah.
You literally cannot escape it.
You can't. And Luka plays as a goalkeeper. It is the one position where a single error almost always results in a goal. He is under a microscope, judged by fans who remember his father's flawless technique.
And the temporal overlap here makes it even more surreal to me.
What do you mean?
Well, Lionel Messi played against Zinedine Zidane decades ago. And in 2022, Messi finally got his ultimate crowning achievement, winning the craziest final ever against France.
Right, the duel with Mbappe.
Yeah. And then in 2026, Messi was still on the pitch, facing Luka Zidane. It is a literal collision of football generations happening in real time.
It really is.
But wait, let's unpack this a bit more. If the psychological burden is that heavy, if your mental RAM is entirely used up by the pressure, are there cases where the son actually succeeds?
You mean someone who completely overwrites their father's legacy?
Yeah, does the source material show anyone pulling that off?
It is extremely rare, but yes. Paolo Maldini is the gold standard in the data here.
Okay, tell me about the Maldinis.
So his father, Cesare Maldini, captained Italy and played in the 1962 World Cup. Cesare was a giant of Italian football.
Yeah?
Yet Paolo played in 4 World Cups, logging 23 matches. He navigated Italy through some defining eras, including the sheer tragedy of the '94 final against Brazil.
Oh man, Roberto Baggio's fatal penalty.
Exactly. After a magnificent tournament, Baggio shoots the decisive penalty high over the goal. The image of him standing on the penalty spot with his head bowed is like the ultimate symbol of World Cup tragedy.
And Paolo Maldini was on that pitch. He lived through that era and kept going.
He did. And today, Paolo is universally recognized as having surpassed Cesare.
But is that actually true, though? Or is it just, like, recency bias? Because modern fans watch Paolo Maldini dominate on high-definition TV, whereas Cesare is mostly a figure from old black-and-white photos. Does the historical data objectively prove Paolo was better?
It's a highly justified challenge, honestly. The nostalgia lens usually favors the father. But with the Maldinis, the sheer volume of Paolo's achievements forces a clear consensus. He won 5 European Cups compared to his father's one.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that's definitive.
But your question points to a fascinating analytical angle in the data. Why did Paolo succeed? It might come down to his position. Cesare and Paolo were both defenders.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. Defending relies heavily on teachable positioning, right? Tactical discipline, reading the game. Those
Yeah.
are structural skills. A father can literally drill into a son in the backyard from the age of 4.
Right. Now compare that to goal scoring. Strikers rely much more on split-second instinct, unpredictability, and innate flair.
Like Maradona in '86.
Exactly. Within 4 minutes, Maradona shows the 2 extremes of football. The illegal hand of God goal, and then dribbling past the entire English defense for the goal of the century.
You cannot systematically teach a kid to do that.
You really can't. And that's why sons of legendary defenders seem to fare slightly better than sons of legendary strikers in our historical archives.
That makes total sense from a developmental standpoint. But what about a scenario where the son succeeds not because he outdefended his dad, but because his dad left a specific attainable goal unachieved?
Oh, I like this angle.
Like, is there a case